sky so far, but I can't lose it.
Sim racers from around the globe, honoring a revolutionary era of open-wheel racing. With a beast not easily tamed, roaring around legendary circuits at breakneck speed. When engineers and drivers push boundaries, sometimes too far. When heroes muscled roaring beast wheel to wheel around the hallowed grounds. A time when the only driver aids were his 2 feet. Perfect combination of man, machine, and speed. Experience the competition and the glory of the early 80s IndyCar action. The Lionheart Retro Series, presented by Sim Experience, starts now.
Welcome to upstate New York. Watkins Glen is home to just under 2,000 people, but for years, swarms have descended on this town for the action that Watkins Glen International has delivered. It's been 31 years since F1 visited a track increasingly deemed as dangerous in the ground effect era, but today we return virtually with the Lotus 79 to see which of the Lionheart Retro Series drivers can end the 2-year domination by Sage Karam here at the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen, presented by Minus 273. Delighted you can join us for continued Lionheart coverage here live on RaceSpotTV. My name is Arjuna Kenkipati, and alongside for today's action is Dylan Coyle. TV cameras provided to us by Istvan Ballo and TrackCams22.com. Additional car cameras provided by RaceSpot's own Tyler Maxson. You can follow along with live timing and scoring using timing71.org and their world-class suite of data analysis tools. Head over there to follow along with the best in the real and virtual worlds. Let's dive right into our Hyperx Pre-Show, because the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by Hyperx, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, Hyperx knows that we're all gamers. For more information on Hyperx products, visit www.hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15 for 15% off all orders. Dylan, it's going to be a very interesting race here today. The first road race, not just of this competition, but across of all three of our races. And Watkins Glen, it's been won every single time by our pole sitter. Qualifying just about to get underway. It is going to be crucial.
Yeah, it's going to be very crucial indeed, Arjuna. And you know what? Sage Karam is going to attempt to be the first driver in the Retro Series history to win the first two races of a season. It's never been done before, but as we know, Karam, he's the master at Watkins Glen over the past few seasons.
Not just success in this competition as well, the IndyCar iRacing Challenge that, of course, took place virtually last year. Karam had a very impressive opener. Today, he didn't have so much luck in that series as it returned to iRacing.com and the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. But let's take a look then at our driver's standings presented by Sim Experience. After that victory last time out, Sage Karam is at the top of these standings. There are some really interesting names here, Dylan, including a lot of rookies.
Yeah, and that's the strongest point that we've seen at Homestead and throughout this practice run. The rookies are really impressing. There's so many of them. Over half of the field, it just is comprised of rookies. So we're going to see some first-time winners, I think, this season. A good bit of them. However, I don't know if that's going to happen here today.
There are potentially some contenders who are very experienced in the car. Let's take a look at our rookie standings presented by ButtKicker. Of course, DJ Clark, after a tremendous series debut last time, he's at the top of these standings. But it's elsewhere that you have to look for these interesting names. The likes, Dylan, of Jean-Francois Matt. He's got a lot of experience in this car in official competitions. But here on the league side, he's got a bit more stiffer competition to deal with, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Had his first start, got a top 10 at Homestead, Miami 2 weeks ago, and that was a big mark for him. A good way to introduce himself to the series, but you're right, league racing is so different than actually racing in the official series. It can lead to so many more opportunities to get stuff done, make a name for yourself, especially when you're going against some of the top drivers in this car, and basically in all of open wheel racing on the service.
And these rookies championships are really going to mix themselves around as we go through the course of a very long season. The final standings to take a look at, Dylan, here. The team standings presented by Hyperx. It's very, very close at the top here. Just 1 point separates AeroX Racing from Raven Motorsport Silver. But as we head to the road courses, this is where I think for some drivers, especially those AeroX stable, with the likes of DJ Clark there, they may struggle a bit more here. It's about not getting too frustrated, making your way back to the ovals with a good, healthy attitude still.
Yeah, it absolutely is that. And, you know, talking about team championships, last year, Raven Motorsports Black won by 428 points over Senrock Esports. And let's hope for a little bit of a closer battle in the championship. Similar to Seasons 1 and 2, Raven Motorsports in Season 2 won by only 26 points. And with this rookie lineup and this entirely interesting field of drivers in it, I think a lot of things are going to happen that we just are not going to see coming until we get to the later rounds of the championship.
And it's a long championship as well, extends all the way into December. Let's take a look at the series details presented by Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or a sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of products and apparel, visit minus273.biz, and don't forget to use promo code Minus 273 LHRS15 for 15% off all orders. And we're back in the Lotus 79. It's really a delight to be in this car, Dylan, because we saw on the ovals it produced some incredible racing, and we head to a track where it's got heritage. And while the Lotus car didn't enjoy success in the Formula One World Championship at this track in particular, it's of course a car that wrote itself into the history books at tracks like this.
Yeah, it definitely is going to be a fun race here. Now, Watkins Glen has shown us that it really does matter. If you are on the pole, you have by far the best shot to win this race. A little factoid is just the margin of victory as well. It's the track that has got the fourth closest road course margin of victory in the Retro Series. That was in Season 2 at just over 1 second, 1.13 as a matter of fact. Last year it was just under 7 seconds that Karam won. So with fuel mileage being a thing, it's going to, it's going to come into play in a pretty spectacular way at the end. I know 17, 18 laps in, we're going to start seeing pit stops. Well, you say it's a 37-lap race. What are we going to see from that, Arjuna? We don't know. Is it going to be a one-stop? Is it going to be a two-stop?
It's going to be very interesting. Qualifying is underway, so let's talk a little bit about the event details. We saw rather, defending series champion Ryan Otis. He's made a leap over into the Lionheart IndyCar Series, running full-time there. Is expected to be making a debut today, and I do see the number 1 car in the field. Can King Ryan come back to this series and spoil Sage Karam and his quest to go 3 for 3? You mentioned that margin of victory as well. It's a very close margin, but let's talk about this track very quickly, Dylan. Get to some of the cars out on qualifying, because I love to ride on board during qualifying. We're running the classic boot configuration here, 3.38 miles, and of course, no bus stop chicane.
It is one of the most exciting tracks in American road racing. Obviously, you've got the 90, turn 1. It's going downhill. It's got a little bit of banking, and you have to make that sharp 90-degree right-hand turn before running all the way up to the S's. We're going to see a straight run. No bus stop. Like you said, that's going to be a draft-heavy battle. You can't go more than 3 wide, and I'll tell you what, we might see a little bit of 3 wide action happening on lap 1, Arjuna.
I don't say you can't go 3 wide, because they'll prove you wrong by going 4 wide,
Oh, no,
Dylan.
They can go 3 wide, but they can't. I'll tell you what, practice showed that 4 wide ends in catastrophe.
Well, we'll see about that one. Cars are rolling themselves out for qualifying. They've got 4 laps to set their fastest lap time in a 10-minute window. And of course, Dylan, because they start on the same setup that we will use in the race itself, they've got a couple of laps to burn some fuel, maybe come back down onto pit road, get some fresh tires, and head back out there for laps 3 and 4 to really set their fastest lap times.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. Right now, we're seeing Sage Karam, Ryan Otis. Obviously, it's those 2 drivers that are at top of the leaderboard. However, Karam, in practice, he had the quickest time. He's already penetrated the 132 mark of this session. And, I mean, it's going to get faster for him as well with 5.5 remaining. We join on board with the Raven Motorsports Black Machine.
It's going to be... He's 1 second clear of Ryan Otis. I mean, we talked about this, Dylan, in the build-up. Who's going to be able to stop him? Even before we came on air, he didn't necessarily have the best run earlier today in that IndyCar race, but here in the Load to 79, a series where he's got the most overall victories, a track which he's very, very dominant at, the Coanda SimSport driver as well will be getting right back down to business.
Yep, and is it really a surprise at all? Because I don't think so. We're going to see what his lap time will be on lap number 2 here. It looks like it's a decent time. We'll have to see as he's coming through this precarious section, specifically with this car. You can't get too much on throttle, but you do have to have a lot of speed carried, and it looks like he's going to not improve, but... You gotta be kidding me.
Margins there, consistency on display as well from the real-life IndyCar driver. Provisionally second, Matt Taylor, who had a very impressive run in Monday night's Lionheart Speedway Series opener. Maybe got the fuel strategy slightly wrong, but he will have one of our onboard cameras for today's race, so I'm sure we'll be watching along with him, Dylan, because he's definitely a car that's got a lot of speed underneath him, and here on the ovals, he's going to be battling it out with Ryan Otis, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. He has only 1 race win at Motegi last season. This will be his 11th start in the series, and you know what? He could be somebody that is a force to be reckoned with. If he can have a strong showing here, that's going to make a huge difference in the drivers we're potentially talking about making some championship runs.
This is a driver that we were told to keep our eyes on. Lots of experience on the road courses in this car. David Surratt out of the final corner. What's it going to be for him? 1:34.027 is fastest lap so far across the line. Ooh, slightly slower, so as he will complete lap 3 in his run. The tires potentially starting to go off here, Dylan, because the cars aren't really going faster at this point in time. Lots of cars unable to improve too much.
Well, let's see what Sage Karam is able to do as he's rounding the final corner here. Remember, he was only 0.003 of a second slower that last lap around. What will it be now? Did he go quicker? He did.
Just about.
Oh, just about. I don't think that difference is going to be huge with the way he's dominated here.
No, and it does look as though then, for the 5th year in a row, lights to flag victory might be on offer. But again, we mentioned it, Dylan.
There's so many different scenarios.
Exactly, and it's not just scenarios on fuel, it's scenarios in traffic as well. At a track like this where the delta across the field right now is 3 seconds, Sage Karam is going to have to contend with lap traffic in this race.
Yeah, he absolutely will, and that's going to be a huge indicator too, as he gets a little bit wide there on the exit going into the chute. But, you know, it will be interesting to see how he handles traffic. I will say that what we've seen last week with all of the respect and hard racing given in the tightest battles ever that we saw, you know what? I think that drivers are going to be respectful. I don't know if there's going to be that much traffic. I think they'll get strung out a little bit here, but it is a huge field that we will be seeing around 34 strong.
So Ricky Harding across the line hasn't set a lap time yet, and after a very impressive showing in our season opener, Dylan, provisionally 32nd, well, he'll be looking then, I think, at these ovals maybe at a bit more of redemption, because 3.3 seconds off the place. He's got 1 lap now to do or die.
Yeah, 1 lap, and it's going to have to count for all the marbles. We'll see what he's able to do here. Karam has just ended his qualifying run, by the way. He's done. He does not improve on his time, but as he comes into the far end of the circuit, very close to the apex there, and you do have to run a little bit wide coming down into the chute. Such a precarious portion of the course here. I say so many parts are dangerous, are hard to work around, because you can so easily put a little too much foot on the throttle and get the car turned around.
And just so much raw power at your disposal as well. And I think one of the reasons why this track in particular became known for increasing danger levels in the ground effect era is just how bumpy it can be. Brief moment over any one of these bumps can really send you around with not much notice and not much time to react as well. But Harding then 44 seconds left in qualifying. An important couple of corners left for him. 1:20 as he comes into the penultimate corner. Has not been the quickest lap time so far, and as he makes his way out of the final corner, great camera shot there from the tires. 133, 134. He's not going to improve too much here, Dylan. I think Ricky Harding, ooh, no, he does improve. He goes up to 20th. That is a marked improvement there, up 14 positions.
Wow, a great lap time for him compared to what he was just dealing with in the 136s. Now he'll still be in the thick of traffic. I don't know if it's better to be starting 20th with how this field may start the race or else.
So that seconds tick away in qualifying then. Let's run it on over into the race and go trackside to take a look at our ButtKicker starting grid. So Sage Karam on pole position, the only car to break into the 132s with a 132.907. He's almost 7/10 of a second quicker than another white car on his outside, Matt Taylor for Avatar Auto Racing. Row 2, it's the defending series champion Ryan Otis who makes a return to the series, and on his outside, Mike Razmas in the number 68. Aaron Morgan for another of the Avatar Auto Racing cars. He'll line up on the inside of row number 3. He'll have Michael O'Brien in the 45 to his outside. Jean-Francois Matt, watch out for him. He's got a lot of experience in this car. Isaac Snyder, first race in the Lionheart series, on his outside. David Surratt, Chris Reagan sharing row number 5 with Chris Fowler. He had pole position 1 week ago. He'll have Richie Hearn, the IndyCar driver, to his outside. Row 7 is Lionel Kalisto and Mark Cohn sharing a row, and you've got Ariel Alanis and Nick DeGroot, 2 rookies, sharing the row behind them. Paul Slavonic and Trevor Malone 17th and 18th respectively, with Chris Staples and Ricky Harding sharing 19th and 20th. Thomas Lovelady in 21st position alongside Robert Mikes in the number 43 car, with Alex Guyon all the way back in 23rd position. Dustin Wardlow for Raven Motorsports Silver in 24th, and we'll work through the final couple of cars here. Big delta across, almost 2 seconds separating the top 25 cars. Danny Roberts in 25th. He's up there in the Rookie Championship as well. A lot of work to do for him. Chris Lanini alongside with Jason Galvin, DJ Clark, 2 very impressive runners a couple of weeks ago in our series opener. Covey Moore, Paul Jenkins, edge of the top 30. Final 2 rows of the grid. Series organizer George Anzaldo alongside him, Big Joe Hassert, Adam Young, Gary Corley, 2 cars not setting qualifying lap times. So the cars begin to roll off for a full pace lap here, Dylan, and it does mean that when we get around to the conclusion of this lap, tire temperatures are going to be very, very cold.
I do wonder how much fuel they're also going to burn on this lap because of the situation where 1 extra lap of fuel is so important for this race. I mean, this could be, if you're not, in the lowest settings, maybe going to neutral at some points. I mean, is it a fuel-saving race? Did we have such a big question mark about that?
Lots of question marks. One thing that we know for sure, which are the 4 onboard cameras that we've got to look on in today's race. First up, it's Ricky Harding. He's got the ButtKicker onboard camera. What you see and what you hear is what you feel. For more information, visit thebutkicker.com. Then former IndyCar driver Richie Hearn, slightly spotty internet, but what he does know is HyperX. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Mark Cohn has the -273 onboard camera. -273, the premier name in karting gloves. Visit -273.biz. Finally, Matt Taylor, he'll be on the front row. He'll have our Carnox onboard camera. Makers of the finest esport gaming chairs, we've got your back. Visit www.carnox.com. And of course, don't forget as well, we've got plenty of cameras to work our way through. Onboard cameras on every single car in today's grid, as well as the wonderful TV cameras provided by Istvan Ballo and TrackCams22.com. Brief expectations then, Dylan, because I do like that we have a full pace lap here. We get the moment to build the tension, just feel the mood in the air. First road race of the season, a lot of pressure on some drivers here.
Yeah, a lot of pressure indeed. I think that when it comes to Sage Karam's chances at the championship, he wants it. He's never won it, and he wants it so badly. The all-time wins leader in the Retro Series. Maybe it's going to be the year for him. Like we said in pre-race, looking for the first 2 wins of a season for the first time in this championship. Another thing, expectations. I think we're going to see a bit of a chaotic 3-wide moment on lap number 1.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot as well. Movers and shakers. We've got a number of people, I think, slightly out there on the grid. Who are you thinking? Someone like Jason Galvin, we saw charge through the field on the oval. Not sure he'll be such a force to be reckoned with today, but I really am looking at some of these rookies to be an impressive force today.
I think we might see Mark Cohn and maybe Jean-Francois Matt make a little bit of a run for a top 5, top 10.
So, about to get underway for 125 miles and 37 laps in upstate New York. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart, and Sage Karam wants to go 3 for 3 here at the Watkins Glen International Circuit. We're happy you can join us on RaceSpotTV for continued Lionheart Racing Series coverage, and let's get underway with the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen. Sage Karam leads us down into turn number 1. Otis is already up into second position, past Matt Taylor, but side by side they work through the S's as cars fly their way down through the gravel available on the outside of turn number 1. Everyone is through there safely though, and they fly their way up the S's. The first signs of 3 wide start to emerge as we come down into the bus stop chicane. It's Otis leading from Taylor for second, single file there, but Dylan, as we come into the bus stop, and not going to turn right there, expecting the swarm of cars to fan out 3 wide.
Yeah, Richie Hearn had a big issue. He locked up the front left tire and went into the grass, lost a bunch of positions, but kept the car out of any damage trouble. Too wide going into the chute.
That's Ricky Harding in 22nd position. Behind him, Robert Mike Alex Guyon. There's a big, angry swarm of cars going the way through the boot for the first time. On the outside is Chris Reagan battling with Chris Fowler. It's very interesting to see lots of cars trying to make aggressive passes early. There's Mark Cohn trying to find some way to get past as well. Richie Hearn looks to the outside as we come down into this corner here. At the front of your field, Sage Karam, though, with a 0.7 of a second advantage as we rejoin this regular part of the track, Dylan. He's going to be very comfortable now for this first stint of the race.
Oh my goodness, I mean, this lead, look at that. He just knows the limits. And you see the difference right there between Karam and Otis. Karam used the entire bit of the track right up into the grass. Otis, there was probably an extra foot between his left side tires and the edge of the circuit. That, I think, is a huge difference when we're talking about who's going to have the best shot at winning this race.
I think more interestingly as well, you can see Taylor has actually fallen off the back of Otis by about 0.8 of a second. That really is not going to help him out too much. Just for those curious, by the way, Adam Young down on pit road. He's had to start and park in today's race, so early retirement, unfortunately, but he'll be back in a couple of weeks' time to return. Side by side, it's number 99 of David Suarez, side by side with his teammate Jean-Francois Matt. Chris Reagan has a wonderful look of all of this action, and he'll try and get in on the fun. Looks to the outside of one of the LeVois Motorsports cars. He's going to stick it deep under braking, Dylan, but you do not want to be on the outside there.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. He gets the momentum, and then at the toe of the boot, he does get the position. You know, sometimes it helps being on the outside there if you're able to stay side by side, because you're going to get inside position on a great turn for passing.
Mark Cohn's got a great view from behind as it's Lionel Callisto, and I think that's Ariel Alanis who are doing battle. You don't get a great view there. It's Richie Hearn, unfortunately, who's still having difficulties. His internet doesn't decide if he wants to be in the virtual Watkins Glen or not. That will be a bit of a contention for race control to think about, of course, Dylan, because if that continues to be a big factor, they will ask Richie Hearn to pull off the track here.
Yeah, that could be a huge factor in this race, and we'll make sure to keep you updated with that. Yeah, competitors behind, they're not going to love to see a car blinking, because then it does not allow them to make the most of trying to get by. Look at that. You can't judge it at all properly, and you have to come off the pedal, as you heard from the onboard sound.
It's very, very difficult, and one of the most interesting things that I think for real-life drivers, they have to adapt to on the iRacing service. Richie Hearn, though, is not too fussed. Oh, he's unfortunately going to, I think, give Lionel Callisto a big scare as we work down into the carousel. Not sure exactly where Richie Hearn is out on track right now, and that's going to make things so difficult for these cars. Let's jump back further in the field, though. It's not just here in the mid-pack that there's mad action, rather. Here's Covey Moore right in the middle of a battle for top 30 here, Dylan.
I wish we had a Mad Max in here for that pun to be made. But yeah, some great action happening all the way in the back of the field. Yeah, it's not just the midfield battle that we care about here. There's so much traffic that may come into play in the later portions of this race. Oh, and look at that, just getting almost to the grass. That could have been dangerous.
Side by side, Chris Fowler and Mark Cohn as we exit the boot. It's Fowler on the inside, which is the preferred line, but Cohn in the number 39 tries to hang it around the outside. Fowler slides right in front of him, and on the edge of the top 10, it is absolutely fascinating stuff to watch out for. And in fact, I've got to be honest here, Dylan, I'm looking at my timing screen trying to find what I want to focus my eye on, and well, it's basically the entire field right now.
Yeah, it is the entire field, except maybe for first and second place as these guys head into turn one.
Yeah, let's jump on board with our minus 273 on board here and see what that draft is like up the hill, because you'll see here Chris Fowler will really start to lose out, Dylan, and Mark Cohn, which side will he decide to go?
I mean, the draft is going to be so important. You can already see the closing speed, Arjuna, side by side. Who's going to get the advantage?
I think it's going to be Cohn that makes it look very easy. Lionel Callisto, what's he going to try and do? As Chris Fowler will send it back down to the inside. Oh, this is great stuff, and Fowler does concede for now, but that actually will help out Callisto from behind. I'm loving this, and this classic racing car, which we thought would be such a difficult thing for these drivers to reel in, Dylan, they are enjoying it. They are loving this challenge.
I think it's still a difficult car to reel in, but you know what? These are some of the best on the service. So we should expect this kind of racing. And we watched Homestead Miami 2 weeks ago, and that was some incredible racing.
I'm loving this. At the front of your field, you know who else is loving this? Sage Karam, now 2.3 seconds clear. And I don't think too much fuel saving on board the number 2 car, Dylan, because, if you've got this pace differential over the rest of the field, it's about 0.6 of a second right now. Why not go all out? You don't really need to save too much fuel.
Yeah, that's such a good point there. And if it is 0.6 every single lap, before we get to lap 17, we're going to see a 12-second gap, maybe? Oh, there's a car off with a lot of damage.
That's Chris Staples in the number 96. What's happening at the rear end of that car continues to bounce all over the shop. And I tell you what, we've got our first RaceSpotTV replay to take a look at then. And up on your screen, let's get to it as Staples will come down onto pit road. He's by himself through the second to last quarter. Oh, very sideways, and a nasty impact into the wall there.
Unfortunately, he won't get any points for his dance rendition of Staying Alive, but he'll be very unhappy with himself after that. It's just a small issue, and with now how Watkins Glen is, there is no grass there. It's a much harder track in the iRacing service because of that.
And rumors circulating about a potentially new scan of the track coming, but no word just yet. So let's jump back to live pictures. Staples then, our first real retirement from this race. He joins Adam Young down on pit road. Top 32 cars then, separated by 32 seconds. So that traffic that we talk about, Dylan, with a lap time of 1:33, in about 10 laps time, Sage Karam is going to start catching some of these cars further back in the field.
Yeah, he will, and I'll tell you what, this battling is going to make it even quicker for that to happen. I'm watching the battle between Chris Fowler and Lionel Callisto, and they are still going side by side, going through the final corner here, a battle for 11th place. So this isn't even for a top 10 position, which, by the way, Mark Cohn is now in.
And here comes one of those Lavoie Motorsports cars. I think that's Jean-Francois Matt trying to look to the inside of Lionel Callisto. RaceSpotTV replay, though, to work our way through here, Dylan. And what's happened to Jason Galvin, one of our biggest charges in that opening week at the Virtual Homestead Miami. Ooh, a little bit wide. And another vicious impact there. Car's lucky that he didn't bounce back further into their path.
That could have been a blocked track right away, and you're absolutely right about that. Lucky for everybody else there, and it's a good apex, but it really sneaks up on you, that outside wall, because it's uphill. You're trying to dictate where that car will be pointed, and sometimes you just run out of grip with the sudden change in track elevation, I guess you could say.
Well, I think to also be fair to Jason Galvin, he's someone who I'm expecting to see the best of on the road courses here, Dylan. On the ovals. I'm not saying he's not a competent road driver, but especially with the increased levels of competition that we seem to have this year with an increasingly strong rookie class, I do wonder if we'll see more of those stronger performances from Galvin on those oval races. Let's jump on board, by the way, with Michael O'Brien, as right in front of him, Isaac Snyder's going to lose the rear end of the car into the tires in the final corner. He will go. Watch the rejoin here, Isaac. He's got plenty of clean air around him, fortunately, Dylan, but another mistake there, self-inflicted.
Yeah, and that's going to be some damage.
Ooh, no.
That might... Oh, another incident. Everyone is taking a spin, and this is DJ Clark.
What a disappointment for the GSRC commentator. He had such an impressive debut. And you can see damage to that car is probably terminal. First up, let's work through this Isaac Snyder replay here, Dylan, because interestingly here, just 2 tires onto the grass on the outside, and around she went.
Yep, and it's pretty, this is another chance to get to see how this track could just catch you if you are not paying complete attention. That might have been the smallest touch in the grass, but right when you try to get on the brakes at all, that lack of grip on whatever tire is in the grass is going to send the entire car spinning. It might go left, it might go right, but it's going into the wall.
Ooh,
and look at this DJ Clark. Oh, what a Houdini.
That was George Anzaldo there who got the perfect shot. So let's jump on board with his onboard camera here, Dylan, and take a look from his vantage point, because just mentioning cars bouncing back into the path of cars coming through this third to last corner, and you'll see as DJ Clark makes that mistake in front. Oh, what reactions there from George Anzaldo.
You know, I'm wondering if he's at the Germany rally stages with the chicanes there, because that looked like a move you'd have to make so tight, and it came up so quickly that, I mean, the reaction time, it's totally impressive right there. Get another replay from a farther angle. Every time it makes you wince.
It really does, and I was looking forward to seeing what Clark would be able to do. Not the greatest qualifying performance, but in races like these, attrition tends to be one of the biggest factors. Movers and shakers left-hand side of your screen then. A bit more movement than we had last time out, Dylan. You can see Roberts is up 10 positions. Much needed spots for him. Richie Hearn, he's down 16 spots.
You know, I don't know if I jinxed Cone or I jinxed Matt, because Matt's down 8 positions, Cone's up 5. So let's just call it even.
Well, and Chris Fowler and Lionel Kalisto still side by side. Kalisto loses out. Mark Cone has
there's
moved.
A car. There's an incident. I'm sorry, Jean-Francois Matt, and it looked like couldn't see the other driver. It's Paul Slavonic.
Oh, and there's big damage there to Slavonic, who really enjoyed his return to competition at Homestead. Rejoins right in front of George Anzaldo and Richie Hearn. Race Control will take a look at this replay, but got a replay of our own to take a look at, and it's deep under brakes there from Jean-Francois Matt. We'll have to look at the aerial angle there, Dylan, because that's a difficult one to take a look at here.
Definitely jinxed Matt. I pulled something you would do, RG. No, but yeah, you can't go that deep at all in the corner. You know, when you get behind a driver, you lose all that downforce in the braking path, and that's a shame for both drivers.
It really is, because they were running up in the 12th or 13th spot, so a big disappointment for them. Let's talk about the front of your field for a brief moment here, Dylan, because we haven't really had to do it too much. Aaron Morgan right on the back of Matt Taylor right now. Ryan Otis has managed to break away. 2 seconds separates second and third.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage at this point, but it can all be thrown away very quickly with a poor turn-in, a turn-out, and getting back on throttle. So even though it's 2 seconds, it does not feel like a lot when you are in the car ahead of the other drivers. A little bit of a wiggle from Matt Taylor as he comes out of the toe and moves towards the heel of the boot section.
I always get that wrong. Even though it should be very easy.
Yes, just think about a boot, the shape of a boot, and it's the toe, the heel, and the boot.
Well, and
I love that.
What I always got told is what comes before what, right? The toe comes before the heel if you're getting kicked. So you just got to remember that.
Are you sure? Because it could go...
Ooh.
It would hurt to go heel, toe, I think, first. But hey, heel, toe.
Oh, okay. We're getting very, very clever right now. I tell you what, let's take a look at our driver profile for today's race, presented by Sim Experience. It's former Lionheart Retro Series Driver of the Year, Mark Cone. Right on the edge of the top 10. Kalisto behind him. Fowler has managed to get back past him, so you can see behind them as well. It's incredible, this action on the edge of the top 10. 29 starts for Cone, 14 top 10s, 5 top 5s. And of course, he's got 2 wins to go with his 2 poles as well, both in Season 3, and he does love an oval race here, Dylan.
Yep, he absolutely does. Just under half of his race finishes have been top 10s, trying to make another go at that in the race today, tonight, wherever you are. But we will be, I think, highlighting Cone a lot in this season. You don't become driver of the year for and fall off that quickly in years to come.
And he was really enjoying Monday night's opener at the Twin Ring Motegi until a contact with Big Joe Hassett on pit lane took away any chance for a victory there. But here in the Retro Series, good to see edge of the top 10. Still lots of fights to work our way through. We haven't really talked about some of these fights over the last few laps, so let's go back in the pack here, Dylan, because it's always nice to be able to work our way through some cars. And just as I say that, looks like Chris Lanini has had a big issue right behind these cars. And look at the damage there, Dylan. That is a big, big impact.
Oh, man, and that is race over for Lanini. We'll get the replay here. Oh, just tries to correct it, has too much of a correction, and, well, you get the tire barriers here. This is one of the corners I was talking about being so tough because of that banking, because of the lack of speed that you take out of there, and the speed that you take into that corner. You've got to really work the throttle, work the steering wheel, try not to drift your way in there. And this is Isaac Snyder with damage in his rear wing. Everyone is getting hurt right now.
Well, we of course saw him backing it up into the final corner after getting some tires onto the grass. A very early stop for him. I wonder if that will be day done on his debut. Not the way that Snyder wanted this race to go. Back to the edge of the top 10, I tell you here, Dylan. And let's jump on board once more with Lionel Callisto here going very wide through that left-hand sweeper. Is trying to find a way past Mark Cohn, but not able to find a way through just yet. And as we approach the pit stop window, the question on my mind, which of these drivers is going to take tires and which driver is not?
Wow, it's already lap 11. This race has been going very quickly, as races at Watkins Glen typically do. I wonder the same thing. I do feel like tires are going to be a must. There's just too many corners that you need not aerodynamic grip here because these Lotus 79 cars, they don't necessarily have so much aero that you can work with, but you will need some mechanical grip.
One thing that I'm looking forward to talking about later in the season, we'll get to it after the first 5 races have been completed, but there is a Lionheart rating as well, Dylan. Not sure if you've been following along on social media here, but just like we've got iRatings, Lionheart has their own rating system that takes into account the most recent 5 races for each driver. So once we get through these opening 5 races, it'll be very interesting to see what the trends are in terms of some of these drivers.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens here, but look at this. This is happening. Will there be a move made by the 97? I don't know if it's going to happen here.
Ooh, yes he is, you know. Look at the momentum he's managed to carry there, Dylan. Absolutely incredible. And we were talking about Mark Cohn maybe moving up the field. Chris Fowler has managed to scamper away slightly. Here goes Callisto. I wonder if we were just talking about tires, there's some different strategies starting to take effect.
Yeah, Callisto with that huge sweeping move around the outside there. I also do wonder if some drivers are starting to save fuel. If drivers can hit lap 17, I think we're going to, or drivers can hit lap 19 on this run, I think we're going to see some one-stoppers for sure. And we get the temperature here, 35 degrees Celsius on track. So these tires, they're getting eaten up, chewed up by the asphalt here.
It depends on how you look at it, Dylan, because what I was just about to say is I've been to upstate New York, specifically for the 6 hours of the Glen once, and we had track temperatures of 60 degrees Celsius, so...
okay.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think relatively, these tires must be relatively okay. The one thing I noticed the second we jumped into this session was relatively overcast, not necessarily as sunny as I'd usually expect upstate New York to be, especially in the summer. You're a bit closer to this region. You should know all about how glorious summers in upstate New York can be.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to the IndyCar race at Watkins Glen a few years back, and it was an absolutely hot day. It was pretty fiery. Also, I can't believe I said that about aero. Ground effect on the Lotus 79, Arjuna.
Nah, it's okay. We all make mistakes once in a while. The good thing is at least we get to correct them once in a while. I tell you what, though,
Not
Dylan.
These drivers.
No, if you're drivers, you don't get to chance.
Oh, no!
And yep, you caught just what I was about to say. Ariel Alanis as well has had a big issue as we saw that sideways moment. Let's pick up a RaceSpotTV replay quickly here, Dylan, and take a look at another rookie having issues.
I feel like I'm turning into you with this jinxing right here. Yeah, that's a pretty substantial hit for Alanis, and he's not going to be able to continue with that damage. I think he's just unhappy with himself as well. You get a little bit too much into the grass. You know, I wonder how much time that would have taken to fix, because he was just done right away.
I think for some drivers as well, maybe just some irritation seeping over as well, Dylan, right? Because it's very easy to happen here. You get pushing to the limit, pushing beyond the limit as well for some of these drivers. Not necessarily the most comfortable car, and things do happen here.
Yeah, absolutely. I do wonder if that was in reaction. No, Elena's was a little bit behind some of the action we were watching on board before the almost spin. You know, that was a mistake that was corrected before Elena's. So it's nice to see exactly what I said about not correcting your mistake. Go the opposite way and then the right way. But anyway, Arjuna.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you guys got a quick preview of what we were just about to go and do. Now, let's take a quick commercial break here live on RaceSpotTV and ESTV. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with continued coverage here from Watkins Glen International. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and continued coverage of the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen, presented by Minus 273. We're moments away from pit stops getting underway, and as we come back from that quick commercial break, well, unfortunately, Lionel Kalisto has just had a huge issue. Let's spool up the RaceSpotTV replay machine, Dylan, because I was about to get some of your thoughts on this race, and Kalisto, unfortunately, was involved in a very interesting battle in the mid-pack, has had another issue.
So it looks like Kalisto, oh man, just took way too much energy going around that final corner. And oh my goodness, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for style right there. But that's a shame. It's not the typical place you'd expect the issue to come from. He just took way too much speed, got on the throttle maybe a little bit too much, too early, and then that happens. Race over.
And disappointing day for him for sure then, Dylan, because as we were approaching that pit window, he was in a really good fight for the top 10 with Mark Cohn. And well, now, unfortunately for Kalisto, that should be day done. He'll finish in 26th position.
Yeah, 26th place. That's just showing the attrition rate of this one. And by the way, speaking about attrition rate, how many drivers are going to last until lap 19 on fuel? Maybe even lap 20, because we are now in that fuel window. Lap 17 is when it's supposed to open.
It really will open up shortly. Sage Karam leads this race now by 6.6 seconds. Ryan Otis is about 2.5 seconds clear to Matt Taylor on that third and final step of the podium. Taylor is being closed down by Aaron Morgan in the number 48 car. They've got a 5-second buffer back to Mike Rasmussen. We're watching up on screen Nick DeGroot versus Robert Mikes, and we'll jump on board with the number 43 car, climbing their way up the S's here then, Dylan. And well, for someone like Nick DeGroot, I think he really enjoyed last time at Homestead, at the motorsports.com rider, saying that he really does enjoy these virtual competitions.
I mean, yeah, it's a good amount of fun, right? It's tough. It keeps your mind in the game. A potential move, though, down the inside. I don't know if he'll have the momentum going around here. Oh, wow, it looked like he just kind of backed out of it right there.
Well, no need to fight too hard at this point in the race as we're coming to complete lap number 17. Sage Karam through the penultimate corner. Does he come down onto pit road this time? No, he stays out, so he should be good on fuel then to the end. It's Gary Corley who comes down, 1 lap down already. Interesting call then from Sage Karam here, starting lap number 18, Dylan.
Yep, I am trying to see if anyone is going down pit lane besides Corley. And our first from the top pack, Michael A. O'Brien, in 6th place, is in the pits. And it looks like he's going to be the first one to get service. This is an interesting strategy call here.
You might have to do some more saving in the second half of the race, but at the same token, Dylan, might just be about finding some clean air. And let's see what the pit stop time is for Michael O'Brien. Up on the jacks, will he go? Yes, he does. So he does take tires here, Dylan. And now let's wait and see how long he stays. Very quickly up and down on the jacks. That is definitely not 4 sets of tires getting changed there.
Yeah, not at all. I do wonder if maybe it's left side tires because of how much the left sides at this track will be burnt through. So maybe an interesting strategy call here. It is an interesting one. Maybe it's going to work out in his favor. Someone will have to watch as this race continues to move on. He was around 20 seconds back of Karam when he did come into the pits, however.
Oh, Chris Fowler, watch this happen to him. He's falling down the timing screen. Mark Cohen has already gone past. Looks like a small issue coming through the carousel. Danny Roberts will come around the outside as well now. Number 30 car up into the top 9. Let's take a look at
by the way.
So Karam's in. First car down onto pit road. Oh, and all by himself. That's going to be some damage to contend with as well. One more look at the aerial angle if we can grab it here, Dylan. It's a very high-speed incident, and now damage to that right front.
It might not be something that he cannot get repaired in relatively quick time, as we see everyone from the top 4, top 5 come in except for Mike Rasmussen. So we might see that strategy call come into play if he lasts throughout lap 18. If he maybe goes one more lap here we're on lap 19. If he goes through this lap without issue, especially if he goes to the next lap, then he does not have to stop for anything else. I think everyone here still who just pit still has to stop one more time. Oh, who knows?
I'm fairly confident Karam and company should be good to the end here, because 18 plus 18, the 36, if you can stretch one more lap here,
yeah,
I think they should be good. But Rasmussen and Reagan will have a slightly shorter pit stop to deal with. Ooh, and a couple of cars have come out right next to each other. Interesting here, because obviously tires are up to temperature and pressure for Michael O'Brien up in the 45 car. David Sirwa, who's just come out of pit road, Dylan, is about 1 second behind, but slightly less fuel. I wonder if he's got a slightly faster car underneath him as well.
Yeah, I do wonder, and look at, it looks like Michael A. O'Brien still 20 seconds back of Sage Karam, so that didn't really do anything to cut that gap down. Obviously, it's not what he's worried about at the moment, but it's a good indicator of where the speed lies. And look at that, right over top of the camera in the grass. These are some fantastic shots we have here. These cars drifting around these corners.
And Sirwa is actually stacked up behind Corley, that lapped car. That helped O'Brien out very slightly. Gap now 1.3 seconds, but expect that to come back down. At the front, Rasmussen and Reagan down onto pit road. Sage Karam does re-inherit the race lead. And I do think, Dylan, if we're going by the lap itself, Karam led at the line there. So I think, once again, we will be able to say lights to flag victory for Sage Karam.
Yeah, I think that's very well in the cards here. I do wonder, however, Razmas went 19 laps. You cannot go 20 laps. I think that's been pretty much clarified through when he and the rest of the non-takers on lap 18 did come in. So if you can go 19 laps, everyone that pit on lap 18, I think they'll be able to go after it. Michael A. O'Brien, he might be in a lot of danger because he pit on lap 17. Don't think you can go 20 laps on a full tank of fuel.
No, no chance of that unless you've got a very, very sensitive right foot. Ricky Harding out of pit lane, by the way, right in front of the likes of Danny Roberts and Thomas Lovelady. So Harding, who qualified on the edge of the top 20, not where he would have wanted to be, finds himself in the top 10. And after second place and last in our season opener, that's what he needed. Roberts has just been passed by Thomas Lovelady, on board with Trevor Malone, who tries to find a lane to go to, and for now tucks back into that line. But we really are going to start seeing some more and more desperate moves start to be made in this mid-pack, Dylan, because the first 20 laps of the race, it's been relatively well behaved, and cars now realize that points are on the line.
Well, we know from Homestead that Trevor Malone is an aggressive driver. He had a shot to win that race until the wreck on the final lap took him out of contention. So he's aggressive. He knows what he has to do, as you saw him running way wide going into the chute just a few corners back and trying to get the most speed you can possibly get. I mean, these cars, these four positions, they're contending with each other very closely. Yuan, Roberts, Lovelady, and we might see a little bit of fireworks develop down that straightaway that does not have the bus stop chicane.
It does make things just slightly easier, and of course when you're in the Lotus 79, engine temperature is not such a big factor. When the official IndyCar iRacing series came here a couple of seasons ago, I had a bit of a GP2 engine moment when my engine decided to expire, so it can be a bit of concern. Dustin Wardlow, Nick DeGroot. Wardlow has just gone and passed into 14th position. Let's get that replay up on your screen and just take a look at what a move looks like here, Dylan, into turn one, because often it looks very easy here. DeGroot actually pulls to the side,
yeah.
And I think maybe just a bit of concern, not trying to fight too hard here.
I also think if we saw at the very beginning of that replay, DeGroot blinked a little bit. So, not surprising! Oh no! Trevor Malone, that aggression does nothing to help him, and he spins right back on track. That's a dangerous spot to get spun, or spin yourself out, I should say, but he's back moving without any damage.
Wardlow down the inside. Can DeGroot follow him as well? No. But of course, Malone's tires will be streaking in agony. He just tried to force his nose into a space that wasn't necessarily on here, Dylan. And we'll grab a look at this onboard and see what it looks like from his vantage point, because he was going for a position, was not ready to let it go.
Yeah, you know, he could say he was being a little bit squeezed, but at the end of the day, it's on you to keep control of your car on the inside, and he was unable to do it. However, it was just tire on tire. He led him to a spin, but he's fine. The car's fine. He just lost a lot of time, though, and he's now fighting with a different group of drivers.
And I do like, I think, to some degree, this approach from drivers like DeGroot, because it's very easy to throw your race away in one corner. It's much easier to do what he's doing here over the course of a season, Dylan. Be consistent, be smooth, accumulate points, and get to that finale in Auto Club and see what's on offer for him in that championship.
That's what I try to do with my 28th place finishes on Monday night. Be consistent. But, yeah, definitely it's that consistency that makes a champion, right? We know Sage Karam is the all-time wins leader in this league. As we see Malone be able to make it work. Doesn't appear so. But we do know he's the all-time wins leader, but he's never won a championship. So that is a big thing. It's the consistency that comes into play. So definitely a good look. This is aggression personified by Malone.
Well, I really do think that it's just this raw, brutal nature of this car. Ground effect bumping around, you lose that aerodynamic force, and then it comes back into effect. These drivers are right on the ragged edge, and Trevor Malone really does look like he's having a lot of fun. While this battle, though, in 13th, 14th, and 15th continues to accumulate and intensify, let's go back to the front of your field. We really haven't talked about it much so far today, Dylan, and you know what? I think we better talk about them just very slightly. On board, let's jump with Aaron Morgan in 4th position. He's right behind Matt Taylor, you know, and if I'm Aaron Morgan here with 14, 15 laps left in this race, I'm feeling pretty confident about jumping up onto the podium right now.
Yeah, I'd feel fairly confident with that too. He looks to be carrying a lot more speed around corners than Matt Taylor right now. You do have to wonder if it's a bit of saving that Taylor is doing. Maybe Morgan is burning up the rubber to try and get by him. We don't know, but he's 6 seconds ahead of Mike Rasmus, so you know what? It's a good possibility that he's going to be on a podium, and if not a podium, 4th place is good.
And the good thing is they're 13 seconds behind your race leader, so Karamu, I said 0.6 of a second, I think, at one point, Dylan. They've done a pretty decent job, I think, in terms of keeping that gap to a driver that really does love this combination, so props on them. I think they'll make this a much more interesting championship throughout the course of the season as well. Back to Wardlow and Malone, though. Through this uphill right-hander they work that's cambered in. Malone will use that inside to try and build his momentum up, and well, they're still side by side, you know. Dustin Wardlow is going to try and cover off under braking, I think, slightly deeper and able to hold on, but just like we saw at Homestead Miami, despite the fact that this has got a rather brutal nature for being a tough car, Dylan, these drivers really do enjoy the challenge. They're up for whatever you can throw at them in this Lotus 79.
And that's really awesome to know, right? These cars are, they're beasts of their own, and these drivers are taking everything that they can get out of it, and sometimes it does lead to disaster. Sometimes it leads to your car going into the tire barrier and going out of the race. But sometimes we also see the aggression work out, and I know we're talking aggression because Trevor Malone has shown it over the course of this stint. And I'd expect to see a little bit of more out of the S's and onto the straightaway.
I would not be surprised to see Malone take a victory on the ovals this season. Good run in our opener. Great momentum up the hill as well. Dustin Wardlow making his 73rd Lionheart Retro Series start. He's been a day one supporter of the series. He'll still stick it out side by side, but that teal-colored machine will sweep around the outside and up into 13th place. Makes it look very easy, but I have a feeling this battle will continue to go on all the way to the checkered flag. Malone did get a little bit loose here, but we turn our attention edge of the top 10. Ricky Harding has passed Mark Cohn here, and Thomas Lovelady in the 29 is all over the back of your former Retro Series Driver of the Year, Dylan.
Yep, all over, and it's not that hard to see where the pass attempt will be made. If he has the momentum and Cohn gets a little bit loose coming out onto the normal track, as we said a bit earlier, outside the boot, maybe a pass attempt going into turn one. We did see DeGroot pull over a few laps ago and let him go by, let one of the drivers go by. I think this is going to be a potential. No, I don't know. Not close enough. Thought it would be closer, but again, straightaway battles, it's going to happen.
It will probably build up as we climb up the hill through the S's. It's 0.2 of a second. Let's jump back on board with the number 29 car. Build that momentum up the hill. Cohn is now 0.9 of a second back from Ricky Harding. He's lost a lot of that draft effect. He'll defend the inside, or will he? He's gonna give Thomas Lovelady the inside. He'll stick in the draft for now. That will help the number 39 car here, Dylan. And in fact, as we enter the entry to the corner, he's managed to keep enough of his car in front. Lovelady is gonna sling it down the inside, though. Cohn holds on to the inside for the entry to the boot.
Talk about just licking the stamp, sending it, and it being rejected and thrown right back into your face. Lovelady had the momentum, but he stayed out of the draft the entire straightaway. When you're not in the draft, you're not getting the advantage you get, but as he goes wide, Mark Cohn goes a little bit wide in the toe. In the race down to the heel, it's going to be Lovelady who wins it.
That's, I think, going to be very easy. Cohn realizes you can't fight too much with Danny Roberts closing in from behind. Ricky Harding pulling out in front. And there you see Lovelady up to 9th. Cohn down to 10th. Left side of your screen one more time, Dylan. Let's work through the movers and shakers in today's race. Harding, Lovelady. They're up 12. Roberts is up 14. We have seen a lot of attrition in this race so far. But those cars have really made it work out on track as well.
Yeah, they have. It's quite impressive, and honestly, it's we expected, I think, to see a lot of the positives in the green drivers moving up the field in the top 16 because of that attrition rate. Michael A. O'Brien in the 45 car is in 22nd a lap down. 21 cars are on the lead lap, but there's been a lot of trouble for a lot of drivers that's led to a smaller field, which obviously leads to positions gained no matter what. I guess the worst drop out of the top 16 is Richie Hearn, and he's still in 16th place. Not a bad day right now. Top half of the field.
Not bad at all. Here's Dustin Wardlow, Trevor Malone still side by side on the entry into this right-hand sweeper. Malone once again around the outside. We still got 11 laps to go, boys. Don't forget that. You got to get to the... We'll break out the first Murrayism of today's race. To finish first, first you have to finish.
Oh, there we go. I love that. Nice one, Arjuna.
Well, we're going to have a number of tributes to Murray, I think, over the course of the year. Sabine Schmidt as well, who's
yes,
very untimely passing due to cancer, which she had been battling over the last 3 or 4 years. Someone who, you know, Dylan, I love the Nordschleife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're a huge connoisseur of everything Nordschleife, and it's definitely a shame. You know, Sabine, you know, she lived a very long life with a lot of great things. So sometimes it's hard to celebrate and not be upset, but why not both?
Oh, very true indeed. And in both cases, very little that anyone would have to say bad about either of them. Wardlow Malone still juking it out. Down through turn number 1, they'll dive. We will have a tribute to Schmidt this coming Monday on the IndyCar Open broadcast as that heads to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, so do tune in for that one. And if you want more Lionheart action, we return next week for Lionheart Speedway action on Monday and then Lionheart IndyCar action on Wednesday, Dylan. So these races are coming thick and fast. By next week, we'll be done with 6 races out of 60 this season live on RaceSpotTV and then rebroadcast on ESTV.
I mean, you can't really get a much better organization for IndyCar racing here on iRacing. And with the 3 different series going on, it's a little bit of a flavor for everybody to taste and enjoy. So I certainly love all the racing we've got here, especially with the Speedway series being new. It's a great, I wouldn't even call it an experiment because it's a stay. Yeah,
breaking out the classic DW12 as well. No in-car adjustments in that car. It's not been updated as much as the IR18 has recently. Lovelady, by the way, has managed to get past Ricky Harding. So let's go take a look at a replay here, Dylan, and see how that move happened, because you can see up on your screen right now it was not easy. Ricky Harding thought about it for a second and realized I think Lovelady had a bit too much momentum there.
Yeah, Lovelady is burning up the rubber pretty quickly right here. I wonder if it's going to come back to hurt him. Man, you always have to be careful going down the chute. Oh, and Houdini right there, but comes back on track.
Aaron Morgan off the track. Sorry to cut you off there, Dylan. It's in that uphill right-hander. He's going to lose out to Mike Rasmussen, who will sling it down his inside. And for Morgan, who is really enjoying a very solid run here, comes unstuck in just a matter of moments. You can see, though, Dylan manages to avoid getting into the tire barrier itself. Just the shame of losing that position, if you will.
Oh, man, that is such a shame. He can still battle for 4th place, though. He's right behind Mike Rasmussen, and he had a podium in sight, and it just kind of slipped away.
And it's so unfortunate. One mistake can really just lead to such a big disappointment, and fortunately for him, compared to some of the other drivers, Dylan, like I said, no damage. He did a good job to get that car slowed down in time, but now I do think Rasmussen might have a bit of a job on his hands to fend off a very irritated Aaron Morgan.
Yeah, and when you are irritated, that leads to some overly aggressive moves potentially, and Aaron Morgan's going to have to be careful to keep his head in this, because he's going to have a passing opportunity down this long straightaway into the carousel.
Defends all the way to the inside, though. Morgan not close enough this time. I think tires just a little bit too warm coming out of turn 1 that time around still. He's got time to work. We've got 9 laps to go here in the virtual Watkins Glen. Sage Karam still leads by about 13 seconds from defending series champion Ryan Otis. Matt Taylor in third position, 2 seconds behind King Otis in second. And we're watching the battle for third. We'll scoot on back, though, to Thomas Lovelady, Ricky Harding, and Mark Cohn once again, because we do have a few of these groupings that are starting to develop. You've got these guys, Wardlow, DeGroot, and Malone, and then, of course, that battle for fourth, Dylan.
Yeah, battle for fourth. It's been great. Can we just say how lucky Aaron Morgan was to take no damage and not hit the wall? Because that wall comes up pretty quickly out of the toe, and, I mean, his only damage is his pride right now and some heated up tires. So, luckily for him, it is all good. But got an onboard shot here with Mark Cohn.
Well, I think I went one step further than that, Dylan, because I said it was him that managed to get that car slowed down. Who was it that we saw that went into that tire barrier very, very hard early in this race? I believe it might have been Chris Lanini. You saw the comparison between those two incidents, and in Morgan's case, he managed to get that car turned around on the brakes, locked up, slowed it down in time. I think for Lanini, he never really managed to respond just in time, and that car went very high speed over the curb as well. So Morgan did a very stellar job to hold on to that car, and you know what? Let's jump up to that battle for fourth position, because they're neck and neck coming down into the boot.
Yeah, they were almost side by side going into the carousel. Oh, that sliding here. It is so dangerous and scary to see, especially if you're in fifth right now, as Aaron Morgan is. When you come back to this section, though, you always become a little bit more nervous when it comes to the place that you just wrecked, you just spun. A lot of opportunities here.
Oh, you're right as well. That mental game that gets played as well. I don't think people really understand that when you strip out the physical sensations that you get from these cars, you're left with your mental faculties. They need to be right on cue, because any one mistake, any one stray thought as well, Dylan, could lead to the end.
Yeah, and that's a scary thought when you're in fifth place, fighting for fourth place, and if anything goes wrong up front, you could be in the driver's seat for a podium. Look at this, walking all the way down to the inside, to the pit lane, and trying to just keep him out of the draft. This is so close, though. You know that he's close enough here going up the hill.
He's going to build that momentum. He's going to tuck himself into that draft. Wait till the last possible moment to tuck out of it. And you could see there, wasn't sure which way he wants to go. He looks to the inside now of Mike Razmas. There has been an issue for Gary Corley, unfortunately, so it does look as though a couple of cars are going to have to scamper past Corley, but down the inside, Morgan makes it look very easy, and after that mistake, he makes amends, and now he's just got to hang on, Dylan, for 7 more laps.
He also has to defend, because as long as he stays in this draft range for Razmas, then yeah, this fight will still go on. It looks like he's burning it up, going a little bit too wide coming out of the toe. Man, the toe is just bringing everyone to their knees.
Side by side, they continue to work. Morgan will cover him off, but 7 laps ago, 6 at the line it should be for these drivers. As you can see there, Karam across the line to start his 6th and final lap, rather. Side by side, they will work through this penultimate corner. Razmas will take the position, and I do think if Morgan can get past here, Dylan, he's shown us that he's got the speed to pull away from Razmas. He's just got to be able to get that move done and focus on pulling away here.
I think it's the mental game right now. We know the skill that he has and what he's shown in tonight's race at Watkins Glen, but he just needs to put the finishing pieces together. There's 6 to go. He can do it. He can get into fourth and stay in fourth, but Razmas is making it so difficult, and it's been some good racing here. When he got in front, he got a little bit loose and got a little bit tight. In Arjuna, they're tight right now.
To the inside once again, here comes Morgan in the 48. This time, managed to pull himself a bit further in front of Razmas. Once again, Razmas will tuck himself back into line, and through the boot, they will continue to scrap it out. He forces Morgan to go defensive, so help out Razmas on the exit of this corner. As these guys continue to fight as well, Dylan, just to give a bit of an update, Thomas Lovelady down onto pit road. Unfortunately for him, slight damage to his car. He's out of that battle for the top 10.
Ah, no, that's unfortunate for Thomas Lovelady here, but you know what? It happens in this race.
And it's still happening up front, side by side, Morgan and Rasmus. This is going to come all the way down to the checkered flag, and we'll follow along with this one. A reminder, live timing available at timing71.org, so you can follow along with your favorite team and drivers with 5 laps to go here at the virtual Watkins Glen. Domination for Sage Karam then, Dylan, because 13 seconds, still the gap back to Ryan Otis, and you talked about him starting off this season with 2 wins in a row. He's not only the most winningest driver in Lionheart Retro Series history, he's also the most winningest driver when it comes to the streaks that he's able to build as well. And for the competitors here, the prospect of Karam winning these first 2 races should be a very scary thought indeed.
Yeah, he has, at one point, he won 3 races in a row. If he can get that momentum going here, I mean, there's no question. He's had 4 multi-wins in a row. 4 times he got consecutive wins here, as there is another attempt down the inside. You know, we try to talk about a subject, and these guys just don't want us to.
That's all right. I'm going to force these subjects through nevertheless, because Morgan holds on for now. I do think if he's able to hold it steady this time through the boot, it will really help him. Lovelady, by the way, still on pit road, so a really disappointing day for him. Slight slide of the tires there for both drivers. That'll check their momentum up. Let's spin up this replay here, Dylan, and see if... Oh, that's why he's out of the race. That's a vicious snap of oversteer as he tries to roll onto the power as the track falls away from him, and really nothing he could do. We'll jump on for the onboard here.
That is a really tough hit. Lovelady. Yep, there's the snap. He tries to get it cleared back on track and can't do it. That's a shame. But you know what? It's the snap oversteer that's killed so many drivers in this race today. And also, I just have to say, Sage Karam, I believe 2 straight laps, he got a 132.539.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Sage is just showing off very slightly right now. And I tell you what, let's take a look at some of these recent laps from Karam if we can. Try and get this up on your screen. It does appear as though we're having a bit of difficulty trying to get that up for you, but that's the sign of the greatest race drivers in the world, is consistency. And we saw it from Karam in qualifying, Dylan. It really is a mark there, and you can see, not necessarily as consecutive as you'd hope, but very consistent through the run.
Yeah, not consecutive. I did think, I guess my eyes played a trick on me, but 132s, sub 133 on most of the previous few laps, except for lap 31. Oh, slacking off there, Sage.
Well, I'm going to help Sage here and give him an inbuilt excuse, because lap traffic, Dylan, come on.
Oh, well, you know what? Sage Karam, he can deal with the lap traffic and get a sub 133, can he?
Well, he can, but Mark Cohen and Ricky Harding side by side, they work. 3 laps to go here in upstate New York. We've got battles for 4th, we've got battles for 8th, and we've got battles for 13th as well. Now, Harding going to lose out for now, but it's Wardlow and DeGroot side by side in towards the carousel. DeGroot, this is where, if you're DeGroot now, you maybe start to be a bit more aggressive, Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, there's no time left to be passive, right? You got to be aggressive here. You want that position, and it's got to come basically right now.
Sorry,
oh,
Dylan.
no! Oh, what an awful rejoin right there as well.
Oh, and I think he reset just in time to avoid hitting another car. But let's spool this one up straight off the bat, and it's down into this very tricky right-hand braking zone. I wonder how wrong he's going to get it. It's sideways on initial entry here, and like you said, Dylan, it's this rejoin that Ricky Harding must have had his hand in his mouth.
Oh my goodness. That's yeah, well, we'll take a look again at what happened to lead him into the spin, and it's really just probably going with a little bit too much speed, tries to snap the wheel to the right, and it doesn't work there. Oh man, that's so close. Finally, the heel gets a little bit of action.
It does, you know, for the corner that's the most tricky in the IndyCar, or used to be the trickiest on the older tire model, finally catches someone out. Side-by-side Cohn and Harding will work. I think Harding will get the position for now, but with 2 laps to go, you're in this position, Dylan. We've done lots of races like this. You don't want to lead at the white flag. You want to be that car that gets the tow up the hill.
Yes, you do want to be the car that, on the last lap, you maybe want to be the car that's behind in a battle, because that's going to make the entire difference in the field. By the way, Sage Karam, are you kidding me? You want to know his lap time? Last lap?
A 132.026. What is he doing?
What?
There are
Amazing.
there are 3 drivers that have broken into the 32s over the course of this race. Sage Karam, Ryan Otis, and Matt Taylor. Otis's fastest lap, a 32.682. Taylor's fastest lap, a 32.753, but both of them have been 1 second slower over the last few laps. Sage Karam has really found that extra gear to slide his car into, Dylan. And I did mention at the top of the show, the Lotus 79 did not have the best track record here in the real world. It's great to see that it's producing some amazing stuff. Look at this, Razmas and Morgan scrapping it out for 4th position. 2 laps to go here.
Yeah, and you also have to remember fuel is running low, so these cars are a lot lighter here. That will lead to some more aggression here. Will he get the move done on the outside? Maybe he'll just get a better run running down to the heel.
Very sideways, though, at the exit off the corner. Don't think he'll be close enough to pull alongside to send it under braking, but he thinks about licking the stamp and then realizes he's got to think better of that. White flag in the air then for Sage Karam as he crosses the start-finish line. Very dominant day. 14 seconds is the gap back into Ryan Otis and Matt Taylor then, Dylan, and we expected somewhat some domination here, but you do often want to talk about a driver a little bit more than we have today.
Yeah, usually when you're up at the very top of the leaderboard, you're getting a lot more attention. Not Sage Karam, who is about to go into rare territory. It's never been done. 2 wins in a row to start the season, Arjuna.
And well-deserved as well. If you're curious, by the way, David Sirwa has had to come down onto pit road to at least 1 car. Ooh, as Paul Jenkins having a big issue coming down into the entry of the boot there as well. But just moments to go. We'll spin things around. Here is Morgan and Razmas still side by side. They come down into the carousel section. They'll continue to do battle as we wait for Sage Karam to come out of the boot. It's a championship that I know he wants to win. 14 race victories so far and no championship yet to speak of. Often, Karam is the dominant force, not just on the road, but on the ovals as well. For too long, he's been counted out. This is his season. This is his time to shine. With 2 race victories to kick off the season, it's the IndyCar driver Sage Karam that takes victory here in the ButtKicker Grand Prix at the Glen, presented by Minus 273. What a fun performance it's been for him, but let's watch for these battles to continue to rage on. It's still Morgan versus Razmas through the 3rd to final quarter. Morgan has got the momentum for now, but into the penultimate corner. 1 more opportunity for Razmas to sling it down the inside in a true Daniel Ricciardo scent. I'll think better of that one. It'll be Morgan that holds on to 4th. Razmas will take 5th. And Dylan, where is Ricky Harding and Mark Cohn?
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out right here because they're very close to each other. Mark Cohn, this is a battle for 8th place into the heel. They're still right neck and neck. I think they might be, oh no, almost into the gearbox. I think Cohn slid. He tries to cut him off at the inside. Does not work for Hardin. Oh man, this could be extremely dangerous.
And for Danny Roberts, disaster, and we'll get that replay up on your screen in just a few moments' time. It's Harding versus Cohn. Cohn rolls the momentum on the inside. Harding tries to go around the outside. And unfortunately for Harding, too little, too late for the 2nd race this season. Unable to get the pass done at the line. Cohn will come across the line in 7th, beating out Ricky Hardin. Let's take a look at that replay for Danny Roberts because, well, drama on this final lap then, Sage. There's also been drama for Sage Karam as well. So there's multiple things that we've got to try and take a look at. Roberts is out of fuel here, Dylan. So you talked about fuel being an issue. Well, looks like one driver miscalculated.
I'm curious, though, what the drama is with Sage Karam that you did mention.
Well, I have just been told that Sage Karam on his white flag lap had a little bit of drama, but I tell you what, for now, let's not focus on the drama. Let's focus on the Hyperx victory lane and Sage Karam, who will come down to the main straight here and get ready to do donuts for the 2nd time this season, Dylan.
2nd time, 1st ever Retro Series driver to win the first 2 races of the season, and it's the 5th time that Sage Karam has won multiple races in a row.
I think this will be a very sweet feeling. It was a disappointing day in the IndyCar iRacing Challenge. Punted off at turn 1, felt a little bit disappointed at how it went, but victory in this race will surely make up for that one. Let's take a look then at our Carnox race results, because after 37 laps in upstate New York, we have a winner, and his name is Sage Karam. 14 seconds is the gap to Ryan Otis in second. Defending series champion makes his return to the series. We're hoping to see King Ryan on a number of occasions this season. Matt Taylor with an impressive run to third place. Morgan holds on to fourth with Rasmus across the line in fifth. Chris Reagan sixth. Mark Cohen beats out Ricky Harding to take seventh position, with David Sirois dropping to ninth position as a result of that late race pit stop. Robert Mike's on the edge of the top 10. And we'll work our way through the final 4 cars on the lead lap. Trevor Malone, Dustin Wardlow, Nick DeGroot, and Alex Guyon. Danny Roberts ran out of fuel on the final lap. What a disappointing moment for him in this race. A big charge through the field for the number 30 car. Richie Hearn, internet maybe not playing so nice for him today, but 16th position, he'll be pretty happy with that. As will George Anzaldo, who had to watch out for DJ Clark going very, very wild through the final couple of corners. Michael O'Brien in 18th position. Paul Jenkins in 19th. Covey Moore rounds out the top 20. Big Joe Hassett 21st. Isaac Snyder in 22nd position. Thomas Lovelady unfortunately drops then to 23rd, along with Gary Corley. Chris Fowler in 25th. And then the first of our non-finishers, Lionel Calisto, Ariel Alanis, Chris Lanini, Paul Slavonic, Jean-Francois Matt, rounding out the top 30. 4 more cars here, Dylan. DJ Clark, Jason Galvin, Chris Staples, and Adam Young. But I think the stat of the day, that's at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah.
The fastest lap of the race set on lap 35.
I mean, come on. Come on. It's unbelievable. There's not much you can say. I'll tell you what, we'll definitely hear from him about that lap.
We're going to take a quick commercial break here live on RaceSpotTV. Don't go anywhere. We'll return with Hyperx post-race show. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV for post-race coverage here live from the virtual Watkins Glen. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, delighted to be joined by Dylan Cole. And Dylan, what a race we just witnessed, and what a way to kick off this first road course, not just of the Lionheart Retro Series, but across the Lionheart Racing Series.
I mean, you really can't ask for much more in a race that was dominated by Sage Karam. I mean, it was dominated, but only by, 15 or so seconds? The battles in the midfield were great. The battles at the other end of the leaderboard were also great. It was a great race.
It was great, and it really builds for what's going to be an exciting couple of months here in the summer for the Lionheart Retro Series. Let's jump in to our HyperX post-race show, because the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders. And let's dive right into our post-race interviews here and bring our victor into HyperX victory lane. It is Sage Karam, and he's standing by with Dylan Coyle.
Yep, Sage, it's 2 weeks later, and we're back to the same exact place. It's the first time that a driver has ever won the first 2 races of the season in the Retro Series. Immediate thoughts following that one?
Well, I mean, it was a good race for sure. I was able to get a good jump, and this track, the draft is so huge, so I really wanted to push the first few laps to try and break that. And once I was able to get above a second lead, I kind of went into trying to save some fuel but still trying to run some fast laps. So it was difficult, but I was able to pull out a pretty big lead. So at that point I was just trying to get all the bonus points I could then, like fastest lap, most laps led, and just keep it clean. I really wanted to have 0 incidents, and then on the last lap, somebody came flying from the sky and gave me a 4X.
Well, we will get to that, but before we do, tell us about lap 35, a 1:32.026. You went almost a full second faster than your qualifying speed. What? What did you do on that lap?
Yeah, so I was saving fuel I wanted to be able to have enough fuel in the tank to really attack for the last 2 laps of the stint, and I caught a lapper going up through the S's, so I had a pretty good draft, and I was about 2 or 3 tenths faster on the straightaway than any other lap. So I said, you know what, let's go for a lap this time. I really wanted to get into the 31s, and then I barely just missed it. So I went for it again on the last lap there, and all of a sudden, like I said earlier, a car came flying from the sky, and from there I was just like, all right, let's just bring this thing home.
We got a quick look at that incident there, Sage, and we'll spool it back to show our viewers in more detail what happened there. But I did say before we came on air to Dylan that it might be the lap traffic that catches you out. What was that like for you? Because you were so dominant. I don't think the race result was in too much of a doubt. Like you said, it was about accumulating bonus points, building up a bit of a championship buffer, and staying out of trouble as well.
Yeah, I mean, lap traffic can always be a little bit tricky. Sometimes when you're going up to pass them, you don't know if they're going to go right or left. And, thankfully I had a big enough lead where I could be a little bit more cautious around it. But, yeah, I mean, obviously I think the biggest worry is, you have a car spinning in front of you, or a couple cars tangled up. And, when somebody's spinning or up in the air or whatever, they don't have any control really. So you really just got to pick which way to go and pray, and unfortunately, that's all part of it, but thankfully we got away with it today.
One final question for you, Sage, before we let you go. Not such an easy day in the return of the iRacing IndyCar Challenge. This must have felt like a much more welcome return to competition. Two race victories this season already. Do you think this is going to be the year where you can finally call yourself the Lionheart Retro Series champion?
I hope so. I mean, like you said earlier, I did that iRacing IndyCar Challenge, and I've never been a big fan of Montreal. I just don't go on well with that track, and I wasn't able to really put in a good qual time. So he only had 2 shots at it, and unfortunately I couldn't get it done. So caused in a lot of trouble in the race, and was able to come home with 5th. But I think we were definitely stronger than that. So we'll race again next week in Homestead, so that'll be fun. But like you said, hopefully this is the year I can become a Lionheart champion and something. I've been chasing this one for a couple seasons now. I've gotten a lot of wins, but I just can't get the title, so hopefully this year we can get it done.
Well, started off perfectly for you, Sage. Welcome back to HyperX Victory Lane, and hope to see you in Lionheart IndyCar Series Victory Lane as well next week from Long Beach.
Yep, thanks guys.
So Sage Karam, victor for the second time this season. Let's jump it on over then to Ryan Otis, defending series champion, and he's standing by with Dylan Coyle.
Ryan, congratulations on second place. You know, the stat that amazes me about you is this is your 45th top 10. It's also your 45th top 5. What is the key to that consistency?
You know, I wish I knew. I think you know, either my races go really, really well or they go really, really bad. So there's kind of nothing in the middle. But yeah, no, I had seen that and I was like, wow, that's surprising. But thinking back, I mean, it's, you know, I'm always trying to be consistent, obviously, and you're trying to put yourself in position to at least have a shot at a win. You know, that wasn't really the case today. I mean, Sage was just flying. I mean, he went out there and just smoked us. So, congrats to him on the win. That was excellent. He was putting in some flyers.
So, Karam at points was getting laps 0.6 quicker than the rest of the field. I do wonder, where for you do you feel like you could have gotten a few extra tenths cut down on the lap?
So there's actually 2 places on the track where I know I lose time, and it's basically because I've crashed there so many times. I'm just kind of a chicken, and so yeah, there's just 2 corners on this track where I'm just uncomfortable, and so I'm always just a little too conservative, and I know I give up a little time because I could see, you know, like Matt Taylor would pull in a 10th on me, you know, and of course Sage would be driving away, so I knew there were a couple of spots, and I'm well aware what they are. I just yeah, I've spun there, you know, even like 2 weeks ago I spun in like a radical race or something in one of these corners, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again. So it's yeah, it's all mental, I guess.
Well, we were talking a lot about the mental fortitude that a lot of drivers had to have for this race, and I believe afterwards, Adam Morgan said over the radio how tired he was. I mean, how about you? Were you tired as well? Take us through that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit draining. You know, I guess I kind of psych myself up for the long haul, so I'm not really, you know, exhausted or anything by the end, but you know, you're kind of sitting there and you get a little sweaty, and you know, it seems ridiculous because you're just sitting there in a chair, but yeah, it definitely takes a lot of focus. But you know, you can't have any distractions, and yeah, it's definitely taxing. I mean, it's not really physically taxing, but yeah, mentally, it definitely takes a lot of focus to try to hold on to it, especially when you're, you know, some of these guys are just so fast. You know, Sage obviously, and you know, Matt Taylor was right behind me the entire time, and I had a few mistakes there where I had some big slides, you know, at the toe, and you know, coming through the chute a couple of times, and it's like I'd see him, you know, suck up on me, and it's like, well, all right, I got to buckle down now and, you know, and get serious.
Well, Ryan, congratulations on P2. I think I can say for all of us, we very much look forward to you attempting to defend another title this season. Best of luck.
Oh, great. Thanks, guys.
So Ryan Otis, defending series champion, returns to Lionheart Retro Series competition with a very impressive second place finish. Third interview in our HyperX post-race show, and it's Matt Taylor. A very impressive week for him. It could have been victory in the Lionheart Speedway Series, but podium here at the virtual Watkins Glen. Dylan Coyle is standing by.
Matt Taylor, the last on the steps of the podium, but third place. After that race, you had a lot of fighting going on that kind of lessened, I guess you could say, at the end. So the fights that you were having throughout the day, take us through that, because we were talking to Ryan, we were talking to Sage, and they weren't having to battle too much. You did.
Yeah, you know, I didn't have a great start there, and Ryan got around me, and I was perfectly fine, actually, with just hanging in his draft. Fuel was a little iffy, and I was hoping that maybe if I could hang in his draft, I'd be able to maybe push it an extra lap there and be better on the second stint. Unfortunately, I made a mistake, and once I lost that draft, that kind of threw that out the window. And I just pushed hard, and I was able to make up a little bit of ground here and there. And then in that second stint, Did some more fuel saving, which ended up being much closer than I anticipated at the end as I ran out coming out of that last corner, but gave it everything I had, and I was able to just chip away at it a little by little, but just wasn't enough. It's so tough with this league. You know, Sage and Ryan, if you're going to win, it's going to go through them.
So does that come down to strategy? Because there were a few questions in the booth about whether the drivers would have enough fuel to last just one pit stop in the race. Was that ever a worry for you?
Yeah, so in practice, the couple of practice races we ran, I ran out essentially with 2 corners left on the last lap, both races. So it was going to be cutting it really close. But I just tried to do a little clutch and coast for the first 3 or 4 laps and gave up some time to Ryan. And I did that for 3 or 4 laps so then I could just try to push hard to the end, and just wasn't quite able to claw back the ground I lost in that first stint. We were just trading laps.
So what happened with Adam Morgan? Because we saw you guys get into it a little bit.
Yeah, I made a couple mistakes, and big thanks to him because he cut me a break. Didn't want to battle too much. I think he kind of recognized that I was a little faster, and I think it benefited both of us to work together. And then he just unfortunately made a mistake there at the end, but was able to claw his way back up there and recover and get 4th.
Well, it is your 4th top 5 in your 11th start. Congratulations, Matt. We look forward to seeing what you'll do for the rest of the season.
Thanks so much, guys.
So Matt Taylor, 3rd and final step of the podium. A very impressive week for him. And Dylan, 37 laps here. And wow, now I'm really looking forward to some of the road courses that we'll go to this season. Let's take a look at a series schedule if we can as we wrap up this HyperX post-race show. Return in a couple of weeks' time from a short track, the Phoenix Raceway. But next up on the road courses, Mosport, then Phillip Island, then Mid-Ohio, then Sonoma, and then Silverstone, Long Beach, and Road America at the closing end of the season. I think that this is going to be a really interesting run to the championship. The question is, who can challenge Sage Karam on the on the road courses?
Well, you know what? Mosport and Phillip Island, they're fast road courses. I do think that Watkins Glen is an oval racer's favorite road course, if that makes sense, through the banked curves, through almost 90-degree, 180-degree angle turns. And Mosport, it's pretty similar in the speed aspect. Phillip Island as well. So we're going to see a lot of interesting action in the next few races here. But Phoenix is in 2 weeks, and if the first oval was anything to look at and take stock of, I wonder what's going to happen at a shorter track in Phoenix.
And you have to think as well that when you don't have the level of grip to necessarily roll the momentum, it's going to be all about the drivers, how much they're willing to push, how much grip they have as well. Before we say goodbye then, let's take the opportunity to thank the various sponsors of the Lionheart series, because there's a lot of people that make this happen, and it starts with Sim Experience, sponsors of this series. The Sim Experience AccuForce Pro V2 is the premier professional simulation racing steering system. The key to its incredible realism is the groundbreaking direct drive motor control system, providing a driving experience that's second only to the real thing. For more information on the entire Sim Experience ecosystem, visit simexperience.com. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders. For sim racers, the ButtKicker Gamer 2 or Simulation Kit adds the missing driver to car connection, bringing more realism to your sessions. By accurately responding to in-game audio, you can feel the track like never before, providing increased vehicle handling and faster lap times. Are you ready for the most immersive experience in all of sim racing? For more information, visit thebutkicker.com, and don't forget to use promo code LION2021 for 20% off all orders. Minus 273 is the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz and don't forget to use promo code minus273LHRS15 for 15% off all orders. Looking for entertaining sim racing content, including a rather lively battle all the way to the checkered flag from this very race at Watkins Glen? Look no further than the DMLC Racing channel. Follow former Lionheart Retro Series Driver of the Year Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes, all while providing commentary sure to make you laugh, cry, or both. Follow along by subscribing at the DMLC Racing channel on YouTube and like his Facebook page at the DMLC Racing channel. It's not just those sponsors, it's all the ones up on your screen at this time as well. For more information on all of these names, visit LionheartRacingSeries.com for more, where you can also find sign-up information for all 3 Lionheart series. Before we go then, Dylan, final thoughts from you. We'll get a couple of weeks off before we return to the Phoenix International Raceway, and my oh my, am I looking forward to that one.
I'm pleasantly surprised with the race that we got. Usually when you do see a runaway winner, it's by a lot more time that you can think of. 15 seconds, it's not a huge gap, it's not a huge difference. But that wasn't where the battle was held. It was held in the midfield, in the back, and everyone had a bit of the pie, and it ended up being pretty tasty.
Maybe we'll see the same then in a couple of weeks' time from Phoenix. But if you want more Lionheart Racing Series action, remember, you can follow along with the various social media channels at Lionheart Series to stay up to date with all 3 Lionheart competitions, and you can follow us on RaceSpotTV as well to stay connected with us and all the great sim racing series we get to cover. If you're not already subscribed on YouTube, you should hit that red button and the bell next to it to get notified every single time we go live with the great sim racing series we get to cover. Next week, more Lionheart competition from the Lionheart Speedway Series and the IndyCar Series. But for now, thank you for tuning in to RaceSpotTV, and on behalf of the entire team behind me, my name is Arjuna Kankipati. I've been joined by Dylan Cole for today's actions. We've had TV cameras provided by Istvan Ballo and TrackCams22.com. Additional car cameras provided by RaceSpot's own Tyler Maxson. Live timing and scoring powered by our partners at timing71.org. You can follow along with the best in the real and virtual world using their world-class suite of data analysis tools. So long for now, but we'll see you live on RaceSpotTV for more Lionheart Racing Series action.